This is the Ainomugisha podcast and the recap episode of the podcast. Together with me is Ronald, a sports analyst and commentator from the Oakwood Sports, a YouTube channel where a variety of sports are discussed and analyzed. We are going to talk some football and basically the transfer, since it is a transfer window. Many names have joined clubs here and there, and on this episode we shall break them down in one show.
Thank you once again for joining the show. So today we are going to be discussing African transfers and major European transfers so far.
In Africa, there are quite a few transfers. The most notable one, Steven Sserwadda signing that is so instrumental in Ugandan football. How do you see the transfer in Africa?
Well, the African transfers have been happening in several categories. In the Ugandan level, we look at players like Sserwadda making that permanent move at New York Red Bulls. At first, he joined it on loan initially, but now he has impressed. I think he was playing in the second team, but now he has successfully made it to the senior team. So I think that's very good for him, for his career. At a very young age, he's already playing in the Major League Soccer. So I think that's very important for him and for Uganda as well.
It's important indeed since we've seen a few players coming from the Major League Soccer joining Europe. And at his young age, there's that hope that he will at one time join the top leagues in Europe. Wrapping up the African sports transfers, we shall go directly to the European transfers, and we have seen quite a number of them happen. What have really inspired you in the transfer after that transfer of Raheem Sterling?
Well, I remember in June, Chelsea was very actually reluctant in terms of making transfers. Major teams in Premier League were making those moves, but Chelsea was there quiet. I think they had a bit of a problem with succession of the club, from one owner to the other. But I think now they have gotten the owner and he's trying to lay down structures via trying to get the players that the coach wants and Chelsea as a football club wants in general. So I think the new project where they've gotten Englishman Raheem Sterling, I think it's a very good move for Sterling himself because he started his youthful career back in London. So he's a Londoner, actually. Yeah. So he went out in Liverpool to Manchester City and now he's returning back to London. So I think it's very good. Personally, said it's good for him. He's returning home to his home fans, so it's good for him too. So I think in most cases, transfers are good when players appreciate it. So you don't have to force a player for transfer. So I think Raheem Sterling is actually going to bring a very good impression next season. So I think Chelsea, in terms of attack, they want to fill that void of Lukaku because Lukaku actually he failed to meet the expectations that Chelsea required of him. So I think bringing Raheem Sterling, who knows England very well, an Englishman, I think it's a good move to him and for him because he's returning to London and he's also engaging his career further in Champions League. Yeah,
it comes with a huge amount, 31,000 pounds per week. It is something big for him and for his future. Talking of still on Chelsea, they are in need of a defender after losing Christensen and Antonio Rudiger, which was a big blow to them. And signing a defender is really a priority or an option. And Koulibaly is almost joining Senegalese, is almost on the verge of becoming a Premier League player.
Yeah, Chelsea needed to make that defensive sort of improvement. They lost in Rudiger and Christensen earlier on, notably on free transfers. So I think they needed to bring in major defenders. Not only bringing a defender, but bringing top-notch defenders. So at first they had that link with Matthijs. They did the Dutchman who plays out in Juventus, but I think that deal couldn't yield because of one or two reasons. So now they resorted to the Senegalese captain actually, who plays out for Napoli. And I think he has already arrived in London for his medical, and he's going to join the teammates in Los Angeles for the pre-season. So I think it's a very good move for Koulibaly himself as an African player. Feeling all those sorts of vibes in Europe. He has been in Italy for a long time with Napoli. Now he's making that move to London with Chelsea. I think it's a very good for him as an African player, and I think Chelsea is still looking that he's going to remain at the same level. Despite the fact that Rudiger and Christensen have left.
Yeah, besides that, we've seen Tyrell Marashia a Dutchman joining Manchester United after that reluctance in June by Manchester United. They are so wise at making decisions that this time around they don't want to make that rush decision that will cause them so much. Do you think the display Man United showed against Liverpool in Thailand, Bangkok, do you think they are ready to improve if they adopt the tactics of Ten Hag?
Yeah, I think United is actually ready to show something. Yeah, if you look at the lineup that Ten Hag used against Liverpool in that preseason match, he actually tells you a lot because he portrayed like a Premier League sort of lineup we would put, right? He portrayed like senior players a priority. So I think he wants to see some of those players and, note them out who can do what. And I think those players have a very good role right now to play because they're trying to, impress the coach at this point. So I think talking of the striking line, Marshall, I think he played very well. Yeah, he tried to, insinuate between Sancho and Rashford. They tried to, collaborate together. So I think it's actually a very good start for them. Yeah, looking forward to the season is a good start for them because trying to, cooperate already together. Having all those messes that they had under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ralf Rangnick. So I think it's important for them to start playing as a team as they did against Liverpool in the preseason, and they should expect more of results in the future.
Lisandro Martinez, Frank de Jong, some of the transfers Man United is really, really waiting for them. Do you see the two transfers happening?
Well, the Lisandro Martinez deal, I think, is almost edging closer and closer. Yeah, as reporters say, journalists in those countries say, yeah, the deal is edging closer to getting done. I think it's actually a good move for Martinez because, first of all, he's going to have that opportunity of playing in the Premier League as most players desire. He's playing for Argentina, so he would like to come in the Premier League that is more competitive and get more playing time. So I think Lisandro Martinez actually is interested in the move. Yeah, he's actually interested in the move. So coming in the Premier League is very vital for him via his country national team and his career. Yeah, because I realize that he plays, I think, two positions. Yeah, he's a sort of a midfielder and a defender. So I think
he gives the coach options.
Exactly, yeah. So such a player, I think Manu also needs such a player because having Lisandro Martinez is actually a utility player that can fill those positions of Fred, McTominay. McTominay is kind of a very sort of defensive player that is prone of yellow cards. So I think having Lisandro Martinez as a backup is also very important. Yeah.
Having him in defense and having him as a backup in midfield, it's really an option. Leaving that aside, we've seen quite a number of transfers happen. What do you have to say about the transfers in Italy?
Well, in Italy, notably being Paul Pogba returning to Juventus, where he left in 2016 for Manchester United. So I think Pogba's move back there is actually goes down to personal level. If you look at if you've been watching him around interviews and all that, he actually is showing a lot of zeal, positivity about the move. So one would say that he's actually going back to prove a point. Of course, with Man U, he didn't impress to the expectations the fans and the club, I think, wanted. Yeah. But going back to Juventus, with all the zeal he's showing us right now, I feel like he's trying to say that he's going to prove a point once again as Paul Pogba, we know, as he plays in France. So I think it's a good move for him too.
Yeah, do you think Gianluca Samaka will be leaving Italy? Because many teams are really targeting him.
Well, the Italian striker, Scamacca there, I think he really needs the move. Personally, on an individual level, he needs the move, right? Yeah, because he's linked with a couple of Premier League clubs. But I think the problem with that deal is just the valuation of his transfer, yeah. Because I think the market value says it's around £30 million, but I don't know if Premier League clubs are willing to pay all that for that Scamacca striker. So I think it's just about valuation. The moment any club meets the evaluation of the transfer, he's going to make the move.
Barcelona, Rafinha is on the verge of being announced. He's actually in Barcelona right now as we talk. Do you see Barcelona change options with Depay, Ousmane Dembele after signing a deal with Barcelona? Do you think there's a future at Barcelona with Rafinha and Depay and Ousmane in front?
Well, Barcelona is trying to rebuild once again. And Barcelona in most cases, when they're trying to rebuild, they always try to increase that depth in terms of squad. So Barcelona is just trying to build up again to portray that name that it held years back. So I think getting Rafinha is good for them. Yeah, but though other clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea, they missed out. Most notably being Arsenal, because they were actually more linked, and the guy was actually closer to joining Arsenal.
He actually agreed to deal with the agent, but the player refused the transfer.
Yeah, I think he didn't. He preferred moves outside the Premier League. That's why he opted to go to Barcelona. So I think for him, on the individual level, is very good for him and for Brazil, because World Cup is up later this year. So I think it's good for him as long as he gets playing time down at Barcelona. I think Rafinha has all the talent and he has nothing to lose.
Recently, we saw Borussia Dortmund unveiling all the 6 players they have bought in this transfer window. Do you think Borussia Dortmund are really ready if it comes at the Bundesliga race? And talk about the transfers in Germany.
Well, in Borussia Dortmund, I think Borussia Dortmund is just trying to fill in the voids of the Erling Haaland, who left earlier on. Haaland was like the top scorer and the main man of Dortmund. So I think for them to fill in that void, they needed to get a couple of options, because they have Daniel Malin, the Dutchman, who is kind of unpredictable, is on and off. So I think they needed such sorts of backup, to stay at that position. Though I don't think they are going to pose any threat to Bayern Munich as per now, because Bayern has also, added in depths in the squad, adding Mane, adding in Mazraoui in defense, and adding Gravenberch in the midfield. So I think Dortmund is still going to pose minimal threat to Bayern and Bundesliga in general. I think Bundesliga is actually is a league that is zeroed. You don't always have a lot of notable signings going to that league. So it's actually
they build their own players.
Exactly. They're kind of sort of building players in Germany and building players from smaller leagues like in Greece, like in Slovakia.
Austria.
Yeah. So in Germany, you get a lot of players from Austria. You get a lot of players from Greece, Turkey, those countries. Yeah. So their aim is kind of different from the Premier League. In Premier League, every club has a sort of goal to compete for the title. Yeah. Though at the end of the season, they fall in their own shots. So I think in Bundesliga is always the same story. Borussia Dortmund is going to bring all the threat that they can, but clinching Bundesliga is still a hurdle for them.
Bayern Munich, do you think if Roberto Lewandowski leaves the Bayern team, do you think Ronaldo is a perfect replacement, as sources say?
Well, in terms of Ronaldo, who wants Champions League, I think going to Bayern Munich is good for him. Would be good for him, in terms of career, because so far he has played in England, Spain, Italy, and going to Germany would be very good for him actually in terms of career. Would have fulfilled all those dreams of a star player, dreams a star player might want to achieve in his career, playing in major leagues in Europe. So I think Ronaldo going to Bayern would be good for him career-wise, though Bayern, I don't think, is interested in such a player right now. Bayern is actually a team that likes building young players too, so I don't think they have a sort of project that they want to bring in Ronaldo for the time being. So I think going to Bayern Munich for Ronaldo is actually inevitable.
Yeah, thank you for being part of this journey. It is the Michael Ainomugisha podcast, the transfer episode, and we are analyzing all the sports that they come in one show. Thank you for listening in, and we shall be having you in the next episode.